Hey again, everybody. It's Ron over at Becoming Enlightened Together. So I just did a tarot spread. I posted the room reading just a few minutes ago. I just laid out 9 cards for the tarot. It looks like it's going to be a karmic reading. You'll see what I'm talking about here in a minute. All right. So what is the heart of this 9 card reading? It is the Magician in reverse. So the Magician in reverse is basically somebody who is inept, or he's or she basically does things in a very inept way. Somebody who's basically a failure at something. They have lost something. They abuse their power. They're possibly very corrupt. Somebody who mismanages resources, people, and time. The time to act for them may be long past, so they're going to be receiving less support. They are less aware. They are more uncertain. They cannot defend their position, whatever that position may be. They riddled with distractions and basically they are losing their power. I'll just leave it at that, okay? And we see that echoed with the bottom of the reading, which gives us an all-encompassing idea of what this is all about. With this being the heart of the reading and this being the bottom of the deck, this is the 10 of Wands. And Magician in reverse, 10 of Wands in the upright, or the 9 of Wands, I'm sorry. The 9 of Wands basically in the upright talks about the battle only being half over. Somebody who needs to persevere and to succeed. Somebody who requires grit, willpower, and tenacity. Somebody on the defensive. And again, this is echoing the rune reading I just did. It's all about protection and defense. It talks about having stamina. Somebody who possibly is suffering from paranoia or expecting the worst at this time. Basically resistance from all angles. Somebody who's not taking no for an answer. Getting back up, mental, physical strength, overcoming. So this is what it's talking about. You just got one thing after the next happening, and it's basically saying, don't give in. Don't give up, And even when I get these karmic readings from time to time, we're all in different places in our journey. So, for those people who are out there that may be going through this right now, or somebody who's cross-watching you, somebody who's interested, trying to figure out why things are the way they are in their life or what have you. Again, it has everything to do with karma. I'll just leave it at that. You make bad decisions, you get bad results. Inevitably. You may get away with things for a small period of time, but eventually it will come back, always. All right, so now let's go ahead and look at the spiritual, the earthly plane, and the subconscious planes. The spiritual plane, of course, is those subtle forces that we cannot see, taste, touch, or smell that are propelling us forward or helping us, whether it's your ancestors, your higher self, God, whatever it is that you believe in, okay? Earthly speaks for itself. It's all things materialistic that we can see, taste, touch, and smell, things that we want typically, and so on, and what's affecting those things. And then the subconscious are the things we keep secret, our dreams, our hopes, our fears, things like that. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the spiritual line first, and we start off with the hangman. Now, the hangman is in the upright, but it talks about somebody who's basically unhappy with the situation of some kind. Somebody feels trapped or dissatisfied. Somebody may be over-sacrificing. Somebody who's restrained in some way. Somebody wants or needs to let go. Basically somebody in suspension or stagnation, somebody who's sacrificing, somebody who is emotional, surrendering, vulnerable, somebody who is reflecting, changing their mind, seeing a new angle on something, somebody who lives in the moment, possibly a martyr of some type. Okay, all those things could be covered by the hangman. Okay, and I try to give you as many of the possible pros and cons because there's so many things that this could actually be saying depending on who's listening and so on. And the energy, because it is a collective reading and everything else, is not focusing on a single individual most of the time. Unless I'm doing a reading for myself or somebody else specifically. It's basically, for the collective in general. Now, the next card we have in line is the Page of Cups. Now, this talks about new ideas or information coming our way, possibly romance, somebody who is young, youthful, childish, somebody who's creative, somebody who has news, somebody who's emotional and intuitive, somebody who's intimate, loving, sentimental, basically somebody who leads the way, maybe a possible new love affair, someone you may be attracted to, togetherness, can mean any and all of those things. So maybe somebody young is coming your way that you end up sparking, a new romance with, or maybe somebody who's basically younger is coming in and giving you some, information that you require or need to be looked at either way. Now, the last card I have in the spiritual plane is that of the Eight of Cups. Now, the Eight of Cups talks about a desire to leave something behind, wanting to abandon ship, so to speak, talking about escaping, somebody who is lacking strength, somebody maybe traveling, moving, a deeper meaning of something, somebody who is weary, somebody searching for personal truth, searching for answers, finding facts and truth again, spiritual devotion, cycle completion, letting go, somebody who's feeling burned out. Now, this is a water card, a Pisces card specifically. All the cups are water, and water speaks to emotions. So, other than the Hangman, which is a major arcana card, we had two cups, in this. So, on the spiritual plane, there's a lot of emotion that's taking place right now. Okay? Now, let's look at the material side. The material side is typically something that would be covered in pentacle form in terms of the tarot. But the first one that we see is the Ace of Swords. Now, swords denote the intellect, thinking on something deeply. The Ace of Swords is typically something new beginnings, mental clarity, focus or vision, good choices, finding truth, success, positivity and justice, truth and clarity, honesty, courage, solutions to something, and resolve in something. And again, this would encompass all of the air signs. So Gemini, Libra, and Pisces are all covered under this card. Okay, so those are the things that you want. This is the earthly plane, but what we end up getting again is next the Magician in reverse, where we have ineptitude and a failure, a loss of power, or abuse of power. Somebody who's corrupt, mismanaging resources, people, and time. An uncertain situation, time, cannot defend their position, okay? And this is the Earth, basically, card. It talks about Virgo in particular, okay? And it also talks about air in the sense of Gemini. So it reflects both air and Earth, this particular card. And again, it's another major arcana, but it's in reverse. And lastly, in the earthly plane, we have the Ten of Wands. Now, Ten of Wands. Wands are fire typically, so this is a Sagittarius card specifically. Okay, this talks about feeling like you're spread out too thin, overwhelmed. You got to carry that entire bundle of rods up that pathway to your, destination, so to speak. So you're feeling overburdened and stressed out. sense of over responsibility and struggles. You're not able to relax. You're accountable to something or someone. You're feeling basically that you're part of some type of unpleasant task or duty, moving uphill, fighting, doing it the hard way. Nothing comes easy kind of a card. That's what all of this means. So in the earthly plane, we're not having our needs met. Needs, necessities, want, all of those things, again, which were more or less also talked about in terms of the future in my rune reading, where Uru's in the reverse is basically the future in terms of today. So we're seeing a lot of things that are echoed from both the tarot and from the runes being shown here. Now let's look at the subconscious, and remember the subconscious deals with those hidden feelings, thoughts, dreams, emotions, or whatever that nobody else knows about unless you've shared them. And we start off with the Page of Pentacles in reverse. Now the Page of Pentacles in reverse talks about the revival or arrival, I should say, of bad news coming our way. Material losses, lacking focus, and being lazy. Results come harder at this time. Workable solutions have now passed. Inactions, impracticality, lack of expansion, lack of credibility. So this is also an Earth card, that of Virgo. Okay, so we're seeing this echoed again and again and again here. Now, somebody may actually be, expecting having a child. That's one possibility. The next card that we have is another major arcana, the Empress card. Now, the Empress card talks about somebody who's giving birth. Now, it could be birth of an idea or something of that nature as well as a child. Take it how it resonates or fits. But talks about somebody who has material influences, who's wealthy, luxurious, who's very fertile, who's one with nature, creative, very tender and pleasurable. She receives as well as gives pleasure. Somebody who's healthy. It talks about somebody who loves the planet, the flora and the fauna, as well as the animals and everybody in it. Somebody who is in harmony with the cycles. And again, cycles is something that we saw as far as the overall energy for the week, with Yara being the major rune energy for the entire week, which talks about, seasons and cycles and finally reaping what we have sown, or karma, good karma. Now, the last card we have in the subconscious plane is the Knight of Swords, and the Knight of Swords also is in the reverse. And this talks about somebody who's failing to recognize opportunities. You may have missed opportunities or chances. Somebody who may feel endangered in some way. Somebody who is suffering from both cowardice, perhaps self-doubt. Somebody who can be very rude, untactful. Somebody who lacks sensitivity. Somebody who's very forceful, not very dogmatic. Somebody who just is less capable, okay, less expertise in an issue, subject, or matter, or whatever the case. So it looks like somebody's really having a difficult time, out there in the in this 3D plane of existence, and it's really affecting, your psyche. It's something that you're internalizing as well as it being an external reality. And it becomes an external reality more and more the more you ponder it and you see only the negative. As you think, that's, where the energy goes. So from where your thinking is negative, 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 well, what do you think you're going to end up producing or manifesting? And yes, we are basically the masters of, what it is that we manifest in this world. And I know it's easier to say and even believe than it is to live at times, because the three-dimensional plane of existence and what we were taught since we were small to believe has a tendency to get us off the beaten track, or to see things the way the world wants you to see them. not the way that they actually, in fact, are. And, again, we're starting to realize this more and more. The more science marries together with spirituality, and we're seeing how these things were not, exclusive one from the other, as the Western world would have us believe that it was. We're seeing more of the merging of the two, at least in my opinion. I see it because I look at both sides. It's neither here nor there. Let's look at past, present, future. Now, for the past energy, we start off again with the hangman. Somebody who's possibly unhappy with the situation, feeling trapped and dissatisfied. Somebody who feel like they're over sacrificing. Somebody who is emotionally reliable. Somebody who is vulnerable, reflecting, basically possibly changing their mind on a subject, seeing a new angle on something. This is a water card. This is a Pisces card. And again, anything that's water related is emotional. So now next up in the past energy, we have a new beginning card. Ace of Swords. And swords are intellect. Okay, this is our thinking. And this one talks about mental clarity, focus, vision, good choices, finding truth and success, positivity, justice, truth, clarity, honesty, courage, solutions, resolve. Now again, this is our past energy, so maybe we thought this way once upon a time, or somebody out there did, and they're no longer thinking that way. Also in the past, we have the Page of Pentacles, which is the reverse, or in reverse, and this talks about the arrival of bad news. So something came in and just threw a friggin' monkey wrench into your gears. It just messed your whole world up apparently. So material losses, lack of focus, laziness, results coming harder, your solutions coming much slower, inaction, impracticality, lack of expansion and credibility. Again, this is an Earth card. This is a Virgo card. That's your past energy. Not so good. Okay? So, now, past could be an hour ago. It could be a year ago. Who knows? It's going to be different for everybody. So, now, our present energy, we start off with the Page of Cups. And that's in the upright. Now, again, this could be somebody with new ideas or information. Perhaps romance. Somebody who's childlike. Inner child, somebody's youthful and creative, somebody with insights and good news, emotionally intuitive and intimate, somebody who might be loving, sentimental, somebody who leads the way, or their heart leads the way, I should say, possibly a new love affair, and maybe somebody you're attracted to, togetherness. It could mean all of those things, so it's a positive card, okay? That's your present energy. However, next up, what we have again is the Magician in the reverse, and that's somebody who's inept, somebody who's prone to lose, abuse of power, corruption, mismanagement, and uncertainties, and not having the support necessary. Somebody who cannot defend their position, so they're losing their power. So this is somebody basically that. Well, let's just say they are not of the light. I'll just leave it at that, okay? Somebody who's not of the light. And finally, we close off the present energy with the Empress. Again, this is somebody who is birthing an idea, or possibly somebody who is expecting, okay? So motherhood. Somebody who is influential and wealthy and fertile. Somebody who's luxurious, one with nature, flora, fauna, Mother Gaia. Somebody who's very creative, somebody who's tender, somebody who's good at receiving as well as giving pleasure, healthy, somebody who's harmonious and in harmony with the cycles. Okay. Now those things seem like an oxymoron, so what I'm seeing is somebody in the one energy is attempting to come to another in the other energy. Perhaps the person who is expecting or with child. They are in their Empress energy. This other person in this reverse magician energy is, again, the person who is really suffering from all the negative aspects that we're referring to here. Now, in the future, we have the Eight of Cups. Now, the Eight of Cups talks about a desire to leave something behind. Somebody wants to abandon ship, escape, wants to travel, basically looking for a deeper meaning in something. Somebody who is weary, somebody who's looking for personal truth, searching for answers, trying to find truth and facts in something, somebody who's spiritually devout, perhaps a cycle coming to completion. We all know that that's happening for all of us. And somebody who's just feeling burned out. So again, this is mirroring the rune reading quite a bit. It's telling us basically to defend our position. It's telling us at this time that we are going to be attacked. So even though this seems very, very karmic in many levels, again, remember that, Jesus himself was tempted after his 40 days and nights in the wilderness. He fasted all of that time. When he was at his physically weakest point, that's when the devil presumably came upon him and tempted him with all that was bestowed upon him in terms of the materialistic world, the kingdoms of the world, anything that you might want or desire. And he declined it. Okay, and that is our example. And we are also, in like manner, going to go through these difficult, challenges. We've had many difficult challenges to get to this point. And it's just a reminder that we're going to have still more before we finally step over that finish line. So don't let your guard down is basically the gist of this, just like it was with the rune reading. Okay, and we see that echoed here with the next card for the future with the Ten of Wands. Now the Ten of Wands, again, is feeling just overburdened, okay, just stressed out, basically too much responsibility spread too thin, overwhelmed, feeling like everything is basically an uphill battle, so to speak. Okay, and then finally we close with, for the future, for this person, the Knight of Swords in reverse. And this is somebody who fails to recognize opportunities, somebody who's missed many chances, somebody who's possibly in some form of danger, somebody who's suffering from a great deal of self-doubt, cowardice, somebody who's rude and untactful, somebody who's lacking sensitivity, somebody who is basically intolerant, and to the karmic out there, addressing my Empress and so on, you need to back off, because if you don't back off, you're going to get put down. And I mean that in a literal sense. You can only do and get away with so much when you're dealing with God's chosen people. And once that happens, you're bound to get a spanking. You get put in that corner and severely disciplined, or far worse, depending on just how deep your abuse is gone. So just warning you. Okay, so that's past, present, future. That's earthly, spiritual, and material planes of existence, and so on. And we saw basically that echoed within the heart, which is the magician in reverse, somebody who's completely inept, and the bottom of the deck, which tells us what everything else in between more or less is going to be telling us, which it certainly did here with the Nine of Wands. Basically, your battle is only halfway done, so there's quite a ways to go. Okay, in this case it says resistance, in your case, karmics, is futile. You can go ahead and plan, plot, scheme, do all that you're going to try and think that you can get away with, but it will all backfire, and you will suffer the repercussions of all the energy that you have put out there. If you're doing an energetic work of any kind, whether it's hoodoo, voodoo, black magic, or you're just having the worst possible thoughts in your head about somebody or a group of people, whatever the case may be, because that's pretty much the same thing, or using your words in an extremely negative fashion towards those people. All of those things are energy, and all of those things are going to come back to you. You can't touch the collective. You can try, but and if you haven't seen that already, you're not smart enough. Well, the heart of this reading tells me that you're not very inept, or you're very inept, I should say. I don't know what else to say. I don't want to feel like I don't want anybody to feel like picking on you or whatever. If you're a cross watcher watching this and you're just having the worst possible luck and you want to know why, just look in the mirror, for God's sakes. And if you are, in the collective and you're going through hurdles right now, it's because this is guaranteed for all of us. We all have these obstacles put before us before we get over that finish line. Okay, I've been saying this off and on for months now. So, and again, some of you have already gotten over that hurdle and you are already starting to reap, the things that you basically have sown much earlier on, in terms of your energy, in terms of your charity, in terms of all your sacrifices, self-sacrifice, and helping others, all of those types of things. They did not go unseen. We don't do them with that in mind. Sometimes it can be a motivation for you. I mean, when there's something that happens and you just don't have right then and there the want, need, or desire to go beyond and do something to be beneficial or help, somebody who's may have been less than kind or whatever the case may be. You remember that the things you do in secret, you don't parade them around, you don't do them in front of other people, but what is done in that moment, even though it may only be you and that person, or whatever the case may be, it will be seen, and it will be noted, and it will be, at some point, rewarded. Okay? Just like the people are doing the worst, in private or whatever, and thinking that they're getting away with it. They're not. Those things, too, are going to be rewarded. So, if everybody would just live by the golden rule, we'd all be a much happier lot, I think, Treat everybody the way you want them to treat you. If you all did that, then this world would be a much more pleasant place to live in. Okay? But that's just not the way it's going to go. I mean, religious dogma aside and everything else, it's just common sense. We all have to live here. We all have to work together to some degree. And, like I said, as far as resources go, there's plenty for everybody's need. Gandhi made that clear. But there's not enough for everybody's greed. So if you were living again by doing to others, and that's, again, that golden rule is literally found in every religious belief system, monotheistic, or not. It doesn't matter. We find it in Hinduism and Buddhism, we find it in Islam, we find it in Christianity, certainly, Judaism, Native American belief systems, and even the Norse. So, again, when I see things like that are echoed, I realize that those are universal truths. And if you don't see it that way, you're free to believe what you want. What you'd base that belief on, I have no idea, but you're capable of having your own thoughts, feelings, notions, beliefs, whatever. And that's fine. I support that. In fact, I'd help defend that. But that doesn't mean that your belief is one that is respectable. You're entitled to have it, but that doesn't mean by you having the right to have that opinion that it makes it something worthy of being respected. It's not. So, but again, I digress. As always, I wish you all well, victory, and we'll all see each other again someday, or maybe for the first time ever in the flesh when we meet in the halls of Valhalla with Odin and Frey, Tyr, Thor, all the great gods and goddesses, our ancestors. Whether you're Norse or not, it's irrelevant. I mean, it's the thought of, of this spiritual warfare that we have going on all around us constantly. And if you're trying to do the right thing, you're trying to be the best version of yourself, then you're doing that on a daily basis. You're still my brother or sister. You are a warrior. Okay, most people that do the most heinous, bullyish things, or whatever the case may be, I just made up a word, but they're not tough. They're weak. They have no discipline whatsoever. They just do whatever the hell, and eventually it's going to come back and haunt them, and they're going to be on their knees. They're going to be whining like a baby and everything else. So it's just a matter of time. So I've seen it too many times to not believe it. So, I wish the best for them. I hope they learn, but it is what it is. Anyways, again, I've already spoken too much, and I get off on these beaten tracks. I don't mean to chase anybody away. I hope I'm not. But if anybody wants or needs to talk, let me know. I can listen as well as I can run my mouth. So just let me know. And until then, take care. God